You ever click buy on a stock and just kind of trust that the shares are going to show up? Yeah, we all do. But behind that one simple click, there's this massive, invisible financial machine working overtime to make sure every single trade is honored, no matter what. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that unseen guardian.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the absolute core promise, the trade guarantee. Then, we'll figure out who's who in the zoo with the clearing hierarchy. After that, we'll get into the magic of netting. And finally, we'll see how a cool new concept called interoperability is making the whole market run smoother.
So let's start at the very beginning. The most fundamental question: how does a simple agreement to trade, a handshake deal, turn into a rock-solid, absolutely guaranteed transaction? You've done your part, right? You found the stock, you like the price, and boom, you hit the button. But in that split second, what is actually happening behind the scenes to make sure you get your shares and the seller gets their cash?
Well, the single biggest fear in any transaction is what's called counterparty risk. It's the simple, terrifying thought that the person on the other side of your deal might just not hold up their end of the bargain. I mean, what if they go bankrupt? In a market with millions of trades, that risk would be absolutely catastrophic.
So the market solution to this is a really brilliant legal concept called novation. This is where a central, super-regulated entity, the clearing corporation, or CC, legally steps right into the middle of every single trade the moment it's made. Think of it like the ultimate, most reliable middleman you could ever ask for.
And this shows the whole thing perfectly. Before novation, you've got this direct, kind of risky link between a buyer and a seller. But the instant that trade is executed, the clearing corporation jumps in and breaks that link. It literally becomes the new counterparty to both sides, and in doing so, it absorbs all the risk. You're not dealing with some stranger anymore, you're dealing directly with the CC.
And that's the whole point, really. Novation is the market's ultimate safety net. It's the reason millions of trades can happen anonymously and smoothly every single day, because you don't have to worry about the other guy. The system itself guarantees your trade will be honored.
Okay, so let's peel back the next layer. We have this central guarantor, the clearing corporation. But who actually gets to interact with it? I mean, it's not a total free-for-all, right?
Of course not. The system has a very clear, very strict hierarchy. As you can see, you've got members who can only trade, you've got members who can do both trade and clear, and then you have these specialized members who don't even trade at all. They just handle the clearing and settlement for other people.
Now, the key insight here is this separation between the act of trading and the responsibility of settling. So your broker, a trading member, might be the one who executes your trade, but they rely on a clearing member to handle the final nitty-gritty exchange of money and securities with the clearing corporation. And this structure creates some very real-world pressure. Let's say it's a huge institutional trade. A custodian has to confirm all the details. If they spot an error and reject the trade, that obligation doesn't just vanish into thin air. No, it falls right back on the original broker, who might suddenly be on the hook for a multi-million-dollar order. Yikes. Okay, so we know who guarantees the trades and we know who settles them. But how does the system possibly handle the sheer volume of it all? Let's get into the mathematical trick that makes everything possible.
Just imagine you're a broker at the end of the day and you're staring at a list like this. It's a total mess, right? Hundreds of buys and sells across tons of different stocks for all of your clients. Trying to settle every single one of these individually would be an absolute nightmare. So you have to ask yourself, does the system really move money and shares for every single line item on that list? And the answer, thankfully, is a huge no. The system uses a process called multilateral netting, and it simplifies everything brilliantly.
Instead of looking at every single trade you made, the clearing corporation just looks at your final position in each stock. So if you bought 100 shares of a company and later sold 80, you don't settle two different trades. The system just does the math. Your net obligation is simple. You just need to receive 20 shares. That's it.
And the impact of this is just massive. It dramatically reduces the total amount of cash and securities that actually have to change hands every day. This frees up so much capital and lowers the pressure on the entire financial system, making it way more stable and efficient for everyone.
All right, on to our last point. Let's look at how a pretty recent innovation has taken all this efficiency and cranked it up to a whole new level. You see, in the old days, if you traded on different stock exchanges, you had to clear those trades through each exchange's own separate clearinghouse.
That meant tying up money in separate margin deposits and managing a bunch of separate obligations. But now, with something called interoperation, a broker can choose just one clearing corporation to settle all their trades no matter which exchange they happened on.
And the benefits here are just huge. Firms don't have to lock up their capital in a bunch of different margin accounts anymore. A buy on one exchange can now be netted against a sell on a totally different one, which reduces their obligations even more. And, operationally, it's just way simpler to have one point of contact.
So, for the pros working in the industry, this isn't just a minor convenience, it's a massive strategic move. Using this system directly frees up a firm's capital, and that has a very real, very positive impact on their bottom line.
So let's do a quick recap. We've seen how novation is that critical safety net. We've seen how the member hierarchy keeps everyone in their lane. We learned how netting makes the insane volume totally manageable, and how interoperability makes the whole system more efficient. These four pillars, working together, are the true backbone of a secure modern market.
We now understand what needs to be settled and why it's guaranteed. But that leaves one last really fascinating question. How does the system actually move trillions of dollars and billions of shares to their final destinations every single day? Well, that's a story for another time.